Okay, so let's continue here. We're up to the words v'af. So the Oy started saying, first he spoke to them that Kemayim ponim aponim came lev ha'adam la'adam biyah relative to Atzilus, Atzilus being Adam Elyon, and now even different Tzimtzum. And he started off saying that even before the Aliyah Sarotzim, which is the articulated will for what he desires, the objective. So this itself happens through a Rotzoi. This itself happens through an Aliyah, a desire from the Tachten, that there is no Tachten. So that's halos man min neyobei. That's within, as it were, the Eibishter himself entertaining the taindog that he'll get from Ma'aseh Tachtein from the Shamas Yisrael. That's the meaning of the Medrash that Eibishter consulted with Nishmersem Shel Tzadikim before creation. And that's the cause, he says at the outset. From there came the desire, the articulated desire of Ano Emloich, he wants to be king, and the whole purpose. Now, afterwards, Va'af.
The line that begins with?
In the way it's laid out by us, is Hamistakel. Better looking at numbers. It's 2 lines above the number 57, because you have a different... Now, going back now, it's going back to this now, just adding explanation, clarification. So here we're saying that the consultation is what caused the whole kavanah. But in the actual process, the rotzen precedes the consultation. First, they have to have a rotzen period altogether, as he goes on to say now, and spells out the Seder Ha'inyonim. Number 1, first is the very first primal expression of the Eibishter is, before an articulated what do you want, that there is a want, period. He desired chesed. That's the first. Chesed means gilui, hashpah. That's the language that we use here is the notion of otherness upon which to bestow his beneficency. How do you say that word? You know what I mean? He's how do you pronounce it? Beneficence. Beneficence.
Beneficence.
Shahu betachlis hahelm. At that level, it's betachlis hahelm. There, the chesed is not yet revealed yet. It's betachlis, it's like the potential of this desire. In other words, just like in the Sfiris, Malchus comes at the end. That's Ano Emlech. That's the hardcore articulation of Ano Emlech, the Eibishter's faculty of Malchus. How does it all begin? Chesed. The first day of creation is Chesed. The same model repeats. We're talking now Lifnei Tzimtzum, but it's all the same model. The creative process is the inyan of Chesed. We're going to see in a minute that Neshamas Yisrael, if we're using our model of the Sfiris, which really it is, although the Maimon doesn't say it, Neshamas Yisrael, HaChochmei Ylah, that's already an Atzmizdik connection even higher than this creative process at its most sublime level. But I'm going ahead of ourselves. I'm just giving you a little bit of the template. So what he's simply asking is that Ano Emlech, which is Malchus, comes at the end after Chavetz Chesed. He started off saying that Ano Emlech started the whole process. So what is it? So he's explaining now. Page Shvov. Okay, I'm going to bring you guys up to speed. Otherwise, it's okay for all of us to hear this again. You got it, my Moishe Shvov. Okay, so listen up, you understand what's going on. Don't read, because it's not going to help. In general, the Maimon is talking about Rotz of Shuv and explaining how Aleph the avodah of rotzoi is a critical part of the avodah. But a true rotzoi means a true desire for connection. Well, inherent in that is the shuv, because that's the kavanah, right? That's the general understanding of rotzoi v'shuv before this maamar, in general. What we're learning now is like this, that the rotzoi is not only because you should want the truth and be connected to the truth. The truth is a connection to the Eibishter. The truth is the connection to the Eibishter is dafka by carrying out the mitzvahs lamata, which is the shuv. More than that, he's saying that the rotzoi is a critical part of summoning, eliciting the Eibishter's galus, for the simple reason that the transcendent levels of alikus are just not be revealed down here unless they are summoned, unless they're called, unless there is a reason, quote unquote. One level leads to the other naturally and organically. But when you have a level that is radical, that's nimshach lamata, it's not nimshach lamata. And the Eibishter wants us to be mamshech lamata. So we have to call it forth. That's the rotzah. The point of the maamar is the nature of the rotzah. The only way that is mamshech, the true kavana, is if the rotzah is not because I want, but because the Eibishter wants me to want it, because of his truth. And we'll see in the cryptic words of Rabbi Akiva to his chaverim, when you go to Milo and you enter into hide and ishtal shalos, don't say mayim mayim. We'll see what that means. That was the lashon of the Gemara over there. He warned them. You go to Milo and you'll see the avnei shai shtar, you'll see the pure marble stones, and they look like water, because the pnimis, they are waters, he will say, but don't say mayim mayim. I'll say later that the main error is not so much that you're calling these stones mayim, they are b'pnimis mayim, but that you're using two mayim. We'll soon see a distinction between higher and lower. In other words, I'm giving you a heads up so you see where it's going. Don't say emes is there, not here. That's the fundamental error. It's one mayim, it's one Eibishter, and his desire, it's all him. And his desire is that it be revealed lamata. So to make this distinction between closer and further, upper and lower, lifnat tzimtzum, acharei tzimtzum, the Evan is the tzimtzum. I'm going here to give us to see where we're going. So that is the critical error, and that was the whole chet of Nadav and Avihu, that their rotzei was a rotzei only, because I cannot blame them. The mitzad giluyim, here's Helen Vehester, and I have to tell you what's going on in this world, and they want to be connected to the Eibishter. So it takes a tremendous bittul. Dafka Rabbi Akiva, who, despite warning them, they could not help themselves, because Anon Nosiv Malka is a tremendous avodah. On the contrary, the higher you go in Giluyim, the less and less you want to be connected here. That's the paradox. The higher you go, the less you go, unless you're touching the Pnimi Sekavon. And if you're touching the Pnimi Sekavon, it's Dafka the Tacht. There's no two mayim. Okay, that's a general overview. It's in a simple term. So let's continue here now. What he's explaining now is the following question. He started off saying, as I said moments ago, that in order for a level which is radically disconnected to anything below it. In other words, let's use the tired old words, but bligvul and gvul. For bligvul to be nimshach lamata, it's not possible. Bligvul is drawn the mata when there's the rotzah, the true rotzah. And so, where's the rotzah? How could there be a rotzah if that's symptom? There's no creation. What kind of rotzah is there? So you answer, that's pshat in the medrash. The Eibishter consulted with the tzaddikim. And the Eibishter entertained the avodah that is the tainig is going to have from avodah to tzaddikim. In the words of the Maim, halos man minei obey. The Maim looked for him, the man malchus, the shomas Yisrael, their ascent, their aliyah. He says within him, before they even exist, as it were, he's entertaining. And that's what is causing the hamshacha. The tainug is going to have from yidin lamat. Now va'af. Now comes va'af. And how we say the whole rotzen of no emlich starts as a result of the consultation with the Shamas Yisrael. Before the Amlocha, there's already a Seiris HaRotzen. If we trace back the steps, what's the first step? First has to be again the notion of Gilui. Chesed means Gilui, to bestow upon the recipient otherness. There it's concealed, not articulated. It's it's like the moshel of the fire with the rock. So the chalamish, it's present but not manifest. And then and what's the first arousal of this, of the Chafetz Chesed, which is vague. Chafetz Chesed, what's the Chesed? Harotzen lehetiv. He wants to bestow good. That's already the first svira, the first day of creation. That's already an articulated rotzen. And then at the end, Malchus comes at the end. And then, so what's the nature of this good that he wants to bestow? There should be an and he's going to bestow him, he's going to be the king. That's a whole very detailed expression of the endless possibles of Lahativ. Lahativ could be a moshel of a father and a child, it could be a moshel of a talmud and a rav. It's also Lahativ. There should be a hamloch, a malchus. That's mamish at the end of the whole, a very hardcore, articulated expression of what this rotzen is. The Chafetz Chesed, and then the rotzen lehetiv, and the end comes. So how are we saying? Let me finish the question. That the nimlich tzadikim starts the whole process. How's it possible? Comes at the end. What are you asking?
What's the difference between Chafetz Chesed and Chilus Rotzen?
But Chafetz is vague. Chafetz Chesed, Hativ is already articulated to do good. Lahativ to do good. So just if you since you're asking it.
One is natural.
No. It's
detailed.
Yeah. Do good means already they have a chesed and he's going to make it better. It's much more articulated. Chesed can be chesed even someone needs it, doesn't need it. It's very vague. Tashba. The hativ is already fixing is all much more is implied in the nature of the recipient and the nature of this hashpah that he's giving. Who is he giving to? Something that needs hativ, is in the need of betterment, of improvement. And then within that, again, there could be father and child, there could be Rav and Talmud. In our world, there's all kinds of lahativ. What is it? Malchus. Which is separate, and the melech, that's a whole structure of melech and am. So that comes later. So and that's the nimlech nishmashem tzadikim. That's consulting within the shamas of tzadikim, which is what there's going to be a people, a mato, guf, am, separate, and it's going to be king over them, and roimimus and isnasus, all kinds of a whole incredible description and detail and nuance of the relationship between melech and am. So who's looking? The whole marshal, the whole beard of Kemayim Panim El Panim. Who's looking there? That's us. That's the Nishmeshem Shel Tzadikim. They cause the Panim in the Mayim. So it's there. On the Emlech. So where does the Rotz and the Emlech start? Way down lower. And we said that it starts the whole process. Send the question.
In other words, it's the third step, not the first step.
The third, fourth, whatever it is. Yeah, it comes first there is, if you want, the words of the Maimer, Chafetz Chesed, Rotzen Lehetiv, and third step. And finally, a no Emlech. And no Emlech starts when there's the that's the Nishmashem Sal Tzadikim that appear there, that he wants to then be king over and have a tainik from their avodah. So comes at stage 3, and we started off saying that by saying that it all begins with a no emlech. So 2 answers. One answer, level 1. It's one answer, level 1, level 2. Nonetheless, Yadua, follow this, friends. This hamlacha, the consultation, not confuse a no emlech with these words. The consultation, it's not like that the Ratzal Hativ, which on one level precedes it, would still exist if at the end there wouldn't be the Hamlacha in brackets. What would happen in theory? You consult with the tzaddikim and they say, no, we don't want this whole relationship. We don't want. Then retroactively it undoes the whole Ratzal. Finish the whole project of creation is aborted. He says what's chas v'sholem. The Hamlacha is in such a way, the consultation is that if the Shem Tzaddikim will say, Yidden will say, we don't want. So the whole Ratzin Lehativ. And the Chafetz Chesed then retroactively just unravels. That's why we said at the beginning of this ois, it's all dependent. True, it comes later in Ishtalshalos or in the process, but really it's the critical thing. It's as if to say, I'm hoping you're going to want this. Because if you don't, the whole creation, chesed, I don't care. It's meaningless. Since the whole desire to do good is all dependent on the mlacha, the consultation that you didn't want this. If you don't want it, I don't want it. So the decision. That happens through the consultation. Who can make chilis the Seder Sarotzen? That's really the beginning of the Seder Sarotzen, because if the end it turns out that, like it's in other words, a person, a simple marshal, you build a house because you want a relationship with this person, but you'll ask them later. You're building the house, and afterwards they say, no, I'm not just in marrying. That's it, finished. The house, not the whole thing is over. So in that sense, therefore, it's kind of a technical answer. You're going to go deep in it in the next line. In that sense, he's justifying, explaining what he said at the beginning. The whole thing is totally in the Ano Emlech, even though in Seder it comes stage number 3.
If they say love, that's a theoretical thing. When he's as the Ratzon Lahativ knows that Emlech, they're going to say yes, right?
Yeah, true. So wait.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. Needs to be out playing games over here. I mean, God knows. So what's bim chas v'sholem opposite? But
creates it that on the Emlech is within the Jewish.
So that's Vayidaber. So that's coming in the next place. But just to address your question, why is it being expressed this way? That chas v'sholem not, and there wouldn't be anything. It's not possible. He knows that there will be. So what's the chas v'sholem? Chas v'sholem makes it sound like it's possible that Yidden would say, I'm not interested in this whole your whole project, I'm not just in a relationship with you, so it's all over. But that's not possible. So it's expressed this way to bring out to us, the whole thing is only because of you. The whole Ratzin and then the Chavitz Chesed and Ratzin Lehativ and the whole Ishtalshalos and the whole world universe, you should know that it's only for you. And if not for you, the whole thing to me is absolutely meaningless. To me, and it's not that as if there was any choice really, but it's expressed this way. And the Maimon is saying this. The Rebbe is saying this in the Maimon. There's a chas v'sholem here. What's the chas v'sholem? It can't be any other way. Chas v'sholem is to show how deeply his desire for a relationship with us is rooted in Atmos, and the whole foundation of everything. Because if it wouldn't be chas v'sholem, there'd be no creation. So it's to bring out, and it's a real chas v'sholem. There's more to it. The few times we find in Chassidus, there's lashon chas v'sholem. Of course, it's going to be, but it's all really this same nekuda to bring in how essentially true this is. Let's continue. Now, you say to Mizu, but even more, can anticipate the question we're all asking. Even deeper. This that the Eibishter consults with Yidden. Hainu. That the words of the ones with whom he's consulting, they're going to establish what's simply meaning he consults. What do you say? Based on your words, there's going to be a whole creation. There's not going to be a creation. Moira indicates that that the ones which is whom he's consulting, it's even higher than what? Than the one he's consulting with. No, it means the level that they are, even though that they are, neshamas only appear in Malchut Atzilus. That's what neshamas. That's what Knesset Yisrael is. That's what Anoah Emlech. That's where it's articulated. Well, lifnei atzimtzum Malchus the Ein Sof. So that's their manifested level. But the fact he's consulting with them means that their source is higher. Means that their source is higher. V'hainu. The Av should say that is Galaso, even though the order of progression is that this whole consultation is or comes only after there's a whole desire lahativ. Now, what kind of hativ is it going to be? It's going to be a king subject relationship. Because Malkim, so it comes later. Again, Malchus comes after Chesed. It's Galus. This is good. And it's concealed at the root. As much as we can use such language, concealed and mocker, because it's all pshitus, it's all beyond articulation. So these terms are all very relative and very subtle and very sublime. So the point is, at the very source, neshamas of Yidden are already present, with which he consults. The ma'ila me'aratzel hativ, then that really precedes the whole ratzon lahativ. Well, the ma'ila me'afilu ma'in dechavetz chesed, and then level before that ratzon hativ, the will to do good, which implies already deficiency. We're going to do good. The stage before that is the pure chavetz chesed, just bestowal. Even higher than that, that's when the shamas are rooted. Shalchein yechelim heim lahachlit, and that's why Yidden are the ones that decide. Eichi ratzon hativ, how will be the ratzon. Im Yava Begiloi, will it be revealed ad l'rotzen dan emlech, all the way down to the articulated, I want to be king, chas v'shalom lav or not. And if they would say no, it would never happen. So to summarize this point, he's saying is that the ultimate origin of creation is neshamas Yisrael. Why? Because neshamas Yisrael are rooted in Atmos, and it comes out that, and a part of him, that the consultation was, language fails us here, really with Matzmamish within himself. On the one hand, it's within himself, the other hand, it's the Neshamas Yisrael. And the Neshamas Yisrael is the biggest enigma. Because on the other hand, at its core, it's a chelik, lekam, yimal, mamish, and we're talking here the mamish level. The other hand, it's in the Neshama. And there's a dialogue here. The Eibush is talking, consulting with Neshamas. And that is the deepest motive. He wants a relationship with a neshama that is on one level a part of him, but the end is going to end up separate from him in a guf all the way lamata. And in this guf and the Ilam Hazeh, where it's concealed and disconnected in terms of our experience, that down here we should reveal this truth that we are one with him. And all of creation should reflect that. The whole dira, all the process of creation will reflect the truth that the Ayid and the Eibishter are one. Not just one at the level of the Min Nimlach, but one even here in this world. That's the kavanah. A little bit further. Shabai Nichlal, Benimtza, Sheklolasi Narotze Lehetiv. So when the Eibishter then articulates this desire that he wants to bestow good, Allah Rotzen dan Emlech, what's the nature of the good? That it's going to be a melech and an am. Right there in that articulated wheel is already laid out the map, the roadmap for the whole Seder Shtalshalus and the Tzimtzumim all the way down. Shazel Inyan, that was brought down in Kabbalah, the Shibatzim B'koyach, the Eibishter estimated or imagined, entertained, conjured in a potential form. Everything is going to happen all the way down to Gashmi, and in fact, not just that, all of history, it's as it's going to play itself out till the Did is complete by B'yas HaMashiach. So all of that, how do you say, How did it all begin? Because Neshamas Yisrael impressioned within him, as it were, the face that's placed in front of the water. There rose up in his sublime mind the tainig that he'll have of Yidden. That's what we mean that he consulted with tzaddikim. Now to explain this, he's saying now the whole marshal of the water is that the image in the water is nothing other than the water. It's not a creation of the water. It's not acquired by the water. It is only Mayim, and yet in the Mayim is what? The absolute details of the image. So he's saying now is that the Mayim Elyonim, the Mayim, this is the Lev Adam Elyon, that's the Eibishter himself. In there, he conjured, entertained the tainug he has from Neshamas Yisrael. That's the image that's there. The image, let's put it in very simple language. The image there is you and I, every neshama pratis, as a part of the great neshama klolis. The tainug he's going to have from every yid's avodah, b'shvili nivra olam. That is what motivates it. The whole process of creation, then the chavitz chesed and the heitiv and the amla no emloich. And it's inseparable from him. That's the mashal. It's inseparable from him, like the image is inseparable and nothing other than the water itself. In an avodah, it's going to say, and that's what it goes to the next place to say. And that's the nature of the rotzoi. The rotzoi, the level of the matter, the nature of the rotzoi has to be not, in other words, you have to want Eibishter because he wants us. That's how it all began. Our rotzoi, which is our face that we are showing the Eibishter, has to be like the original, how it all began, a reflection of the original. Aminei obey the rotzen, no emloich. Not because your desire to experience the truth and transcendence and so on. And then there's no tumayim. Because then you'll know that where will you connect to the Eibishter and carry out his primis hakavana is dafka lemata. There won't be a rotzei one way and not a shuv. Because there in that original Nishmashem Tzadikim, what was the Eibishter's tainug? The tainug that he has of a yid lemata, that's what he was entertaining. So that's what you're going to do. You're not going to want to disconnect. Because in that original, the Yisraelus Minei Obey was what? Was the tainug he gets from you dafka lemata. So there's no tumayim, it's one kavanah. On the contrary, the only reason there is all the giluim l'mayil is because of the tachlis lamata. It's all one kavanah. There's levels and stages, but it's one intent. Let's see inside the Ma'aser.
Is the question really what comes first? Is this the question?
So at the end of the day, what
it is that being and is it that being that a yid is even though the process comes from chafis and all these things, and then the birth of the yid, and later on, being that the whole kavanah is mitzad the yid, because he's a chelik of the Eibishter, and he's the kavanah, and therefore
that's
his
how
decision is
that, yes, and therefore an avodah means, and that has to characterize avodah. The whole avodah is because that's his desire, and no nasiv malka. That has to be the rotzoi, and if that's the rotzoi, the desire for truth, to connect, for emes, for meaning, and all of these natural longings that are part of. So the natural state is I'm not going to find it here. Find it in transcendence, the mile, not in this horrible world. But if it's Rabbi Kiva saying, if that the rotzo is going to be connecting to the emes, the true rotzo that began the whole thing, which is you. So he wants the you where? Here. Let's see the words of the Maimon. Rabbi Kiva, that's what Rabbi Kiva said to his chaverim. Just to bring up the speed, those who weren't here. It's talking about the four that entered the paradise. Rabbi Kiva ben Zoyme ben Azai and Acharei, Elisha ben Avor. So the other three, they all derailed. Only Rabbi Kiva entered Nichtas b'Shalom v'Yotze b'Shalom. Before he went in, we're asking how was he able to? Because he went in b'Shalom. He had a whole different attitude to his whole rotz, his whole desire. And it's expressed in these cryptic words that he said to them. He said to his chaverim, when you come l'mayla, you see the avnei shaish toher, you see these pure marble stones. Don't say mayim mayim. Says Rashi, they look like water. Don't say water, water. Simple pshat, we can't go further. That's what Rashi says. It's very cryptic. What does this mean? Now he's going to explain that. The Evan is the tzimtzum. The stone to the tzimtzum. And the stone that tzimtzum creates, from our perspective, two realities. Godliness revealed, godliness concealed. Two realities. Elyon Tachten. And therefore you're going to want to be where God is revealed. Don't say Mayim Mayim. Because the Emes says there's not two realities. It's all Abish. On the contrary, the deepest connection is Dafka here. That's simply what he's saying in. You'll see the stones, you'll see a tzimtzum, and you'll see the Bepnimius. You'll understand that the Pnimius, it's all a likus, but you'll say it's my likus. He's revealed here, and then there's a new reality down here. A compromised likus. Let's see in the words of the Maimon. Don't say that. It's all him, all one. So let's see in the words of the Maimon. It's not so poshut. We'll try and figure it out. Let's begin it now. So when you come to, you'll go deeper and deeper in the paradise, and you come to the pure marble stones. Don't say, oh, water, water. What does it mean here? So these stones, the keser. This is the veil of keser. In general, the tzimtzum, the veil that screens the emanator from the emanations, to use exact language. It's a veil, it's a screen. It's an interruption, it's a boundary. Therefore, they're called stones, like a wall. So it says about, it's a pasuk in Eov. Avonim shochakum mayim. The context is something else entirely, that stones are worn down by the water. Now it seems he's bringing the pasuk to say, sheyesh behem mayim. It's a hefsek, it conceals, but bepnimius, it's godliness. Mayim here, as he said earlier, water is the metaphor for godliness. It's pure translucence and transparency beyond all form, etc. Avlim behel has the God, but in the stones, godliness is very concealed. All right? So the tzimtzum conceals godliness. Obviously, the tzimtzum is nothing other than godliness itself, but godliness is concealed there. The stones conceal the water. They obviously are godliness. That's something else. But Hashem's concealed. As you say, the Maimon, there's tremendous effort in order to reveal the water that's in them. Nonetheless, so on the one hand, it's concealment. On the other hand, it's not stam hell of a hester, that they look, they're marble, which means they actually look like water. The mother says that Hudras, he rebuilt the Beis Hamikdash, the Binyan Hudras, she built them with these marble. They were green and blue, and he wanted to cover it in gold. And the Chacham told him, don't. The Mechseki, it was the Yoma, because they look like waves of water. So what's he saying over here? That the tzimtzum creates post tzimtzum also a giloy of elikus, also water. And what's the great error we'll learn tomorrow? The great error is that there's two kinds of water, two kinds of Gilui. We'll revisit this tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem. That's the error. Do not say Mayim Mayim. Okay, so we're going to go back to this part tomorrow.